店だから誰が怒られるのよ。
Here's the situation, there's a mission, new rotation. You'll be working at your station as the head of transportation. Now you're overheated, you can't repeat it. Put that down, you don't want to eat it. You're still out, you just have to beat it. Beat it, beat it, beat it, beat it.
I am focused, I'm about to know this, and then you'll know this. Complex simplicity, a rhythmic frequency, PI community, two-step reaction, one person action.
Step right from the topic, I suppose to the rain, half right from the bottom, and deep in the end of play, where blood they got ass back, contaminants get past that, Zulus get past that, on the leg of the big bang track.
So feel the wonders, that's from the unrest, internal chaos, a mental chaos, the vacuum of the door, the mind feeling wrong, you're not what you own, beyond being blown.
Barista del Mundo is a record of the world as seen through the eyes of a professional barista. That's me, more barista than professional, and more charlatan than barista. And this show is more about living life than about making coffee. In today's episode, Let It Flow, like Espresso, we catch a glimpse of legendary barista Jon Lewis as he delivers the keynote speech during the Mid-Atlantic Northeast Regional Barista Jam in Easton, Pennsylvania. Imbibe magazine said that few baristas enjoy as much respect and admiration as Jon Lewis. I say no one has the respect and admiration that he does. To my mind, Jon Lewis is in a class all by himself. Mr. Jon Lewis. And he's running away.
Hang on. You are baristas. I am a shot of espresso. You work in a local cafe. I have traveled unfathomable distances to get into your hands. You are of a certain stature and character. I am 18 grams of finely ground coffee that you have tamped firmly in the portafilter. And my character is defined not only by these coffees that make me who I am, but how you treat me. You respect me, you know me, you care for me. And you know what, I think this weekend, I'm looking forward to the way that our relationship is gonna deepen and sweeten as y'all get filled up to overflowing. You all know that adage, the old adage that says, when life hands you lemons, make lemonade? Over the past 5 years of working as a barista, I've come up with my own. When life hands you coffee, make espresso. I know, like all of you, I live with the question, what does it mean to be a barista? And most days I answer that question by making coffee, making espresso, because that's part of what it means to be a barista. But I think, like all of you, you also know that that's not all it means. And so I've got 3 words that resonate in my head that help me to live with this question, what does it mean to be a barista? And those 3 words are, yes, we can. No, I'm just kidding. Those 3 words are let it flow. Let it flow. Let it flow like espresso. I'm going to give you a few historical, a couple contemporary sketches of what I think it means to let it flow. And in the meantime, I'm also going to be brewing up some coffee because as a barista, that's just about all I know how to do. Let it flow. Let it flow. Let it flow like Zeno. Zeno, the philosopher, was the father of Stoicism. And Zeno said that the goal in life is to live in harmony with nature. Zeno didn't start out thinking that. That came on later, but he started out as a merchant, probably like most of us in this room. But it was actually a shipwreck that got him into a bookstore. And in that bookstore he read some Socrates, and he said, these are ideas that I want to pursue. And so he asked the bookkeeper, who should I follow? And the bookkeeper pointed to a man named Crates. And Zeno said, I started a very prosperous journey when I got shipwrecked. From that time on, he pursued the life of the mind, he pursued philosophy, and he developed his ideas of Stoicism because he walked around among the Stoa. And his ideas kind of revolved around three things. First, logic. And in regards to logic, he said, this is perception. This is assent. He said, this is comprehension. But he said, this is knowledge. And so as baristas, what I'm wondering is, how well do we know our coffee? Do we know it like this? Do we know it like this? Do we know it this well? Or, as Zeno would say, are we like the wise people who have true knowledge and know our coffee? So Zeno talked about logic, he also talked about physics, and he said that all of life, remember this was over 2,000 years ago, said that all of life comes from a creative fire. And I thought that's pretty appropriate for the roasters among us. All of life coming from a creative fire. Lastly, Zeno talked about ethics. And Zeno said that happiness is the good flow of life. Let it flow. Now Zeno might have a bad reputation because Stoicism is a philosophy that says that desire and fear and pleasure and pain are negative emotions and should be avoided. But you know what, it's kind of hard to understand what somebody was talking about over 2,000 years ago. Because there's an anecdote that surrounds Zeno that says that he was at a dinner party. And he was asked, you know, why do you eat the way that you do? And Zeno said, lupines too are bitter, but when they are soaked, they become sweet. So even this person who believed in philosophic indifference, who shunned pleasure and pain, he knew what good coffee was all about. So let's say let it flow like Zeno. Several hundred years later, and in a far different country, in a new world, there was another person who maybe approached nature in a similar manner to Zeno. And so what I have to say is, like Emerson, let it flow. Let it flow. Let it flow like Ralph Waldo. Ralph Waldo approached nature with a capital N. In one of his first essays he wrote called Nature. I'm going to quote him at length because I think it's apropos to this group of people. He said, so shall we come to look at the world with new eyes. It shall answer the endless inquiry of the intellect, what is truth? And of the affections, what is good? By yielding itself passive to the educated will. Then shall come to pass what my poet said, nature is not fixed, but fluid. Let it flow. Spirit alters, molds, makes it. The immobility or bruteness of nature is the absence of spirit. To pure spirit, it is fluid, it is volatile, it is obedient. Every spirit builds itself a house, and beyond its house a world, and beyond its world a heaven. Know then that the world exists for you. For you is the phenomenon perfect. What we are, that only can we see. All that Adam had, all that Caesar could, you have and can do. Adam called his house heaven and earth. Caesar called his house Rome. You perhaps call yours a barista's trade, a micro lot, a local cafe. Yet line for line, point for point, your dominion is as great as theirs, though without fine names. Build therefore your own world. Let it flow like Ralph Waldo, and let it flow like Henry David Thoreau, his protege, who took his words and his attitude and took it into the woods. And here's what Thoreau had to say. I know of no more encouraging fact than the unquestionable ability of man to elevate his life by conscious endeavor. It is something to be able to paint a particular picture or carve a statue and to make a few objects beautiful, but it is far more glorious to carve and paint the very atmosphere and medium through which we look, which morally we can do. To affect the quality of a day, that is the highest of arts. Let it flow like Thoreau. You know, there's a couple other people that I wanted to mention who I think help bring light to what it means to let it flow. And these people, I don't really have to tell you much about their philosophy because you can ask them yourself. They're our contemporaries. They're living among us, and they're here among us. Let it flow like Scott Rayo. And he's not here yet tonight, but he's coming tomorrow. If you haven't seen this volume of Scott Rayo's, it's quite a thing to behold. There's ideas in it, there's words, there's pretty pictures. But why I think we should let it flow like Scott Rayo is because here's somebody who has an experience and who has left his mark. We live in a very temporary and transient place where it's easy to throw around ideas and it's hard to be permanent. We work with something that's also very transient. Coffee, very volatile. It comes and it goes bad fast. So I think the model for permanence in regards to coffee is sustainability. And so I say, let it flow like Peter Giuliano. You are my barista, I am your coffee. And tonight, we're going to let it flow. This weekend, we're going to let it flow. And when you approach nature, and when you approach coffee, approach it with an empty cup. I don't know if I have enough cups for everyone in the room, but take one and pass it around. And share one with your friend. Approach nature with an empty cup. Approach coffee with an empty cup. And let it flow. If you approach coffee with an empty cup, as I have experienced, you will find that it'll fill not just halfway. It'll fill not just to the fill line, but it'll fill to overflowing. And what I mean by that is that if you get filled up by coffee, you take it to where you are and you pour it out. You give it away. And so what I want to do as an introduction to this event, can you hold out your cup? Is to have you fill your cup and let it flow. Pour it into somebody else's. And as you do, say let it flow. And you don't have to if it makes you feel a little weird, but I'll tell you what, it feels good. It feels good to say, and so let it flow. Pour it into somebody else's and pass it around. And let's keep it up. Let me fill your cup again.
Let it flow, bro.
Yeah.
Let it flow, bro.
And actually, go ahead and pour it in somebody else's cup. You're going to have to get up and move around a little bit. Find somebody who has an empty cup. Let it flow. Pass it around. Keep on going. I recommend not drinking this because it's not coffee. But it's a pretty good symbol, if you ask me. Let it flow. Let it flow. Let it flow.
Have some wafers on it. A little Scotty or something.
What you want to be with you?
Let it flow.
Let it flow.
Flowing?
We flowed. We've been flown. We flowed the coop.
You flowed?
Flown. Let it flow.
Let it flow. Go ahead, John. I dare you. When he started, after he brewed, I'm like, there's no way I'm drinking that. It's got that like oil pump thing in it.
I'm sure you didn't use it for oil. Or maybe you did.
John, what's the pump for, really?
Totally getting it.
That? Letting it flow? Yeah.
Let it flow pump.
Use that at the USB-C.
All right. I hope that you have come with an empty cup. I hope that over the course of the weekend it gets filled up to overflowing. And I hope that wherever you go from here, you let it flow.